a she. All right, we're live. We're live. I didn't. I just
look, seriously, it would have been great for you to have been a minute before we went live to see what I saw. Yeah, it would have been pretty good. However, we're not fully live until this happens.
There we go.
Now it's not stupid o'clock. You're going to get more of a dance.
Absolutely.
Fishing line.
Yeah, and we have a guest with us today.
Please, if you want, and so basically, Andy's chair swivels. You must remember Austin Powers, the movie, The Evil Doctor. He swiveled round in his chair without meaning to, and he had a cat on his lap. If you want him to do the evil, sinister chair swirl, please put it down in the comment section.
I don't even like it.
Public vote. Just put chair swivel.
You need to keep one. Joanna's watching this in the toilet.
Well, don't do it too early. Just one chair swivel. Comment, please.
No. We have a lot of young guests, mate. A lot of people don't even know what Austin Powers is.
Oh, come on.
Huh? You're just showing your own shit now, mate.
That's a classic.
Huh?
That's a classic.
Classic. Come on. It's a load of rubbish.
What?
Absolute rubbish.
Maybe the third one was rubbish, but the first one...
Maybe all of them were rubbish.
Do not say a bad word about the fembots. They were brilliant.
It means nothing to me.
Best bit of the movie.
There's another really famous movie that people really rave on about, but when I watched it, it was not the best.
Yes. Yes.
No.
We need it.
No.
Lorian, I'm with Gav. It's a classic. Thank you, VJ, by the way. And look, Joanna's even tuning in from her workplace toilet.
Dedication, that is. We're going to make sure we give her some value. And make sure she doesn't get fired from her job.
Done. Oh. So we're waiting. Come on.
What's happened? The music's
chair, swivel, cap.
No. It's not going to happen.
You are such a tease. You are in a playful mood this afternoon.
Absolutely. When my cat's with me, I have to be.
Okay. What's
doesn't get a lot of attention when the kids are out.
I've never met your cat before.
Her name is Rafa.
Rafa.
Yeah.
Of course it is.
Yeah, and you know where that's come from.
Not Austin Powers. It's not Austin Powers.
Definitely not.
Wow.
No.
You have got that on the brain, haven't you?
What have I got on the brain?
Last week's show, we thought, well, somehow we ended up talking about Al Pacino and if he was a member of the crypto trade. And I asked Andy if you could coach to trade one-on-one any famous person, who would it be? And he said Stevie G.
He's on my wall up there.
Ceiling or wall?
Just wall.
That
ceiling would be a bit too much.
Not for you, mate. Not for you. However, look, if we've got new people coming in, which we're almost up to 3,000 on the members now, which is fantastic. Hi, guys. Good afternoon, evening. So that tells me maybe you're not in the UK. What's that noise? There's a bit of feedback.
Is that? I can hear you clearly.
Yeah, I can hear some feedback. I don't know if it sounds right for everyone else. If you're new to the group, please click on the StreamYard link and register so that we can see a picture and we can see your name, please. Awesome. So do you know, a really random thought came into my head before we were just about to go on air and you did the chair swivel. An even more random thought.
What, when I go live without telling you?
Yeah. Would you? Thank you, Lorian, for saying it. Sounds fine. Perfect. Who would you like to intro the show one week? I had a really bizarre conversation in my own head before I connected with you on StreamYard, and I had a thought of the guy from Blind Date. Do you remember? And here's your host. Oh no! Welcome to Blind Date, and here's your host, Miss Cilla Black. Do you remember that guy?
I do remember.
Show my age.
The X Factor dude is pretty good.
They actually sound like the same person.
Oh, maybe it is.
That's a very good point. So I would definitely have him to intro us one week if he's still alive.
Yeah, you can dream big, mate. If that gets you going.
Well, let's not go too far. I haven't got a poster of him on my ceiling or anything. Let's not get weird.
Well, who knows what you've got on your ceiling, mate?
That would be a little bit weird. What's in the cup, mate? What's in the cup this lunchtime?
I made a nice coconut flat white. I didn't have time to go to that. So
nice. So look, a bit of housekeeping is in order. If you're new here, thank you very much for tuning in. My name's Gaven, the host. This is the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Andy Demi. Wow, it feels so much different talking at a normal time for me than stupid o'clock in the morning. Hope you're enjoying it wherever you are watching it. So if you're a new member of the Crypto and FX Traders Club, we do this show once a week for FX, and we do it once a week for cryptos. This is our first Monday doing it live, and we'll be back tomorrow at midday doing our crypto show. But today, it is all things FX. So thank you very much for joining us. As we said, we've got people who are at home. They've got their feet up, maybe having a cuppa. So we've got Slavomir, he's normally first. Great eye for detail, great photo. Slavomir was in on the comment section every week or every show. We do a little competition just to make a bit of banter to see who can get the first comment in. Lorian, top 4, not bad, mate. VJ, afternoon, fellas. How are you? Very good, thank you. Hope you're having a good start to your week. Or Slavomir was also second, twice in the top 5. That's just showing off. Alas, you are not first. The lady who is skiving at her workplace toilets, Miss Joanna Troutman. Come on down.
Oh, mate, you've got too much energy. We need to move the time back a bit.
No way. I'm not doing it. I am not doing it again. Nobody knows what Joanna does for a living. I personally think she's a spy, but I don't know what she's doing. She's hiding out in toilets watching the show. But we appreciate your loyalty and your commitment to the cause. So thank you very much for that. We very much appreciate having you here with us live. However, if you are watching it on the rerun, obviously welcome as well. You're going to get some good value from the show. As usual, we'll be doing a professional trade setup of the week towards the end of the show. But first, as it's our first show of the week, just give us a little breakdown on, because obviously you used to work as a hedge fund trader and managing institutions, traders at institutions on the trading floor, should I say. What would it be like of a Monday morning when you would go in, maybe you'd had a great week, they treated you to like a big slap up dinner, maybe you just got over your hangover. Talk us through what do professional traders do on a Monday that maybe retail traders don't do, and maybe what you're doing that's different now as a retail trader versus the guys at the hedge funds.
Yeah, I mean, I want to give people some good advice that they can actually use. So I can kind of tell you, I guess, what's important to get to to be ready to basically kill it on Monday. So it's like, you know, for most people going into their work, they're thinking, oh, it's Monday, it's the worst day. I used to love Mondays. In a way, I now it's just a day's a day, but like back then, I used to love Mondays, especially back then, because, you know, like you just look forward to, you know, being with your friends, like in the trading floor, because we were all like a team. Especially, I'm thinking of the hedge funds, the last hedge fund that I was working at. and you're all just kind of ready there, pumped up to make money. So I used to enjoy the process of going in. Now, one of the things that I'd have, which was really, really strict, is on Sundays, strictly no alcohol, and making sure that I went to bed early.
Sundays. Just Sundays, right?
Sundays. No, I needed the day to recover. So there was like no alcohol. Like,
strictly no Sundays, but Friday, Saturday, and
mate, it's not easy.
Brilliant. Sorry to get you off there. That was funny.
No, and yeah, so the thing is like, even though you're not working, you're kind of mentally preparing yourself for the next day. So ideally, I like to have a day, and I try and do it now as well, where I'm not doing any work, where I'm not looking at trades. So Sunday was that day where it would just be like the mind switches off, because at some point you'll burn out if you don't have at least one day where you don't think about it, and you have to do something completely different that's not taxing, that's not using your brain. So like, for example, there'd be times where I play poker on a Sunday, but as you know, I'm very competitive, so I'm not going to play poker just to show up. I'm there to win. So if I'm playing poker, it means I'm there working in a way. It's much more fun, and I'm not relying on it for an income. But that was too much, so I stopped that, and I literally just switch off for the day. And now I do that as well. I generally try and do that, where I'm not like now with obviously markets open on the weekends and things like that. It's tempting to kind of be involved in the markets continuously, but always important, have a day off, do something different, play with your kids, whatever, just something completely not the markets, and try not to look at your trades. But kind of like, that means that you have to be prepared on Saturday. So that means that you've done you've filled in your journal. So I normally go and fill in my journal on a Saturday. I review it. I see how I've done. I used to religiously write a report, because I used to have to provide it for my to my sort of superiors back then, and just literally I'd have one for them and one for me, because you didn't want to share all of the stuff that you were feeling. It was more a case of, for me, it was more like, what could I have done better? What did I sort of mess up on? Even if I made money, did I lose control? Because there'll be times, for example, where and it's natural human tendency, right? You see others doing well, and maybe people experience it in our group, and they've had a strong week and you haven't. And then you might just, push a little bit, like force it a little bit, and you may get a bit lucky. But it's not necessarily a good thing to do over time, because over time it's going to cost you. So I'd acknowledge that actually I probably took on a little bit too much risk, or I took some trades that were a little bit lucky. And so I'd really kind of try and be as honest as I could with myself, because I think sometimes, when you're new, you might just celebrate wins, but not all wins are good. And some of those wins could be very costly in the future. So you might do something stupid and it ends up being a good result. And if you don't address it, that could be one of the most costliest things, because the next time you're now going to probably do it subconsciously with extra confidence that it worked before. Do you see what I'm saying? The brain remembers actions and then results. And if you don't address it, interfere with it and say, hold on a minute, was that actually a good thing that I've done there, even though it's made me money? So I do a lot of that. And then I try and then once I've done that, it's almost like that's it. The door is shut on that now, that week. And so Sunday could just be another day for me to relax. And then Monday starts. And then Monday, it's all about kind of making, if you've done the stuff on Saturday and Sunday that you should have, then Monday becomes much easier to fulfill. And if you haven't, then Monday doesn't start very well. And so you have to make sure that all of those things are done so that you can start fresh. And how you feel is so, so important. I mean, I can carry on and tell you more, but I don't know if there's any questions that you want to ask me on that.
No, it's really interesting so far, mate. Carry on. And as soon as something crops up, then it's just good to get a glimpse into that setup, really.
Yeah, I think, as we know, like a big part of this is mental preparation. So this is what that process is. It's literally like planning for success. So I know that if I have got unfinished business from last week that I haven't dealt with, my Monday is not starting the way it should. And if I know if I haven't relaxed or I've broken my rule or whatever, and I'm not feeling refreshed on Monday morning, that's gonna kind of follow through on the week for sure, and that's gonna probably result in a bad week. So by tracking all of that stuff, you know, I was able to identify patterns of success and patterns where I wasn't successful, like in any given time. And so I guess one piece of advice that I'd give, and maybe a question that people should be thinking about right now, is like, well, as we know, we're not perfect. And what happens if you're not prepared? What happens if you do mess up on the weekend? You don't go through your journal. What do? You move it along and you do it on Monday, and you don't trade on Monday. So like, make sure there's completion on the week before you start the next week. So if your next week has to be Tuesday, then it has to be Tuesday. You're better to be doing that than to just say, well, it's Monday, I'm in the office, I need to trade. So that's a really important part, a really important process. And I still do that to a large extent. I still review my work of the week. I just don't tend to write very detailed reports like I used to back then, but I still review my work and I still go and see what I've done well, what I could have done better. And yeah, and it's something that I'd really recommend. And it takes discipline, it takes work, it takes effort. But that's the stuff that's going to really help you get the results that you want. And when you start to see that effort lead to results eventually, and you start to see those wins and that consistency, you're going to start to feel like you're in a little bubble. Like, is this really real? Like, might be a question that you start to ask yourself. And some of those people are starting to experience that. Some students and some traders in our group, they're starting to see that happening. And sometimes then there's another whole, you know, which we need another session for. But like, then there's the whole, like, do I deserve this money that I'm making? And that's another, like another a whole different ball game, I guess, because then you come down to your own limitations and all the other things. So once you start to see it, because if you've ever been in that place where you're like, why am I not making money? I know everything I need to know. Like, I predicted that. I can predict these things. Why am I not making money? If you get to that space, it's probably because you're sabotaging yourself. So that's why it's all in stages. So if you're doing all the other things well, you're working hard, you're doing all the processes, you're reviewing what you're doing wrong, learning from it, pushing forward. That's the stuff that makes winners. And then it's like, okay, now I'm doing all of that stuff, and then, but you're not making money. That's probably not to do with your understanding or your strategy, because you're probably doing enough to make money. So then it's down to your own limitations, and then you have to work on that. And again, it's about addressing it, and ideally getting a coach. I know it's not easy to spend money on a coach, and if you don't have the resources to do that, then try and work with somebody, like swap services or something. Try and find somebody that's going to keep you to account, ideally. So, but when you can afford a coach, I would get a coach. That's the stuff that really helped me a lot. Just somebody to see the stuff that you can't see even.
Interesting. So that's the main difference, is it, just to get an exterior set of eyes on things?
Yeah, I mean, we were lucky because we had that when I was kind of there in working for the hedge fund. We had people there that could do that for us. A little bit different because their interests were the company interests, not your own interests. So they were there to try and help you get the best results you could. But it's different when you commission a coach yourself, because you're now working with somebody to help you improve without any expectancy. Whereas they had people there for their own, and you'd have to be a little bit. I was always a little bit cautious. I couldn't openly share everything because you've got to remember your job's on the line as well. So if you reveal too much, like you've done something ridiculously stupid and you've got away with it, I'd rather be sharing that with a private coach rather than somebody who actually could tell the boss and fire you. so that's why I'd say somebody you can really trust. And it does. And if you, like I said, you have to be resourceful if you don't have the money, but it's an important part. And sometimes, like, even just our community and our group is great. That's a great place to start, sharing in that kind of environment where it's a nice, positive environment. But the next level is definitely working one-to-one with somebody really high. I mean, I definitely spent at least 100K on that over my career, like just working with people to help me grow mentally. Definitely.
Okay, cool.
Over time, yeah.
And we've touched on that, and we can go into that a little bit deeper maybe in the following weeks to come. So this week's show is all about setting yourself up for success for the week. So you've told us your processes. One question I am interested in is, do you have any superstitions around your trading? And maybe if anybody who's watching this, or whether you're watching it on the replay, have you got any superstitions that you're willing to share? Because I know some people don't share, but I know a lot of like footballers have loads of superstitions. They have to walk out on a certain number in the team, or a certain order out of the tunnel, or people used to put on socks on a certain way and stuff like that. Did you ever have anything like that you would kind of, when you're filling out your diary and your journal, that you go, well, kind of I do things in this order and it works out better for me?
I wouldn't call them, no, to be honest with you, no, I don't. I don't really, I never have believed in superstitions or 13 is unlucky or any of those things. But I think one thing that is, it's not superstition, but like that I find is really important is the whole how you feel. So like if I feel good about, so like making sure that, you know, I look good, I'm well groomed, like being in that frame of mind, you're going in to trade millions of pounds and you need to deliver, and just feeling like, you know, you're in that state. That's important to me. Like when you have to deliver at the highest level, I think your feelings about yourself are really important. So that, I don't think that's a superstition, but maybe just like something that I think makes a big difference to would have made a big difference then to my results. It's slightly different now because I'm a lot less active. Like I do a lot less day trading than I used to. So you don't necessarily have to be in that sort of peak state. It's more about optimizing, you know, placing orders, placing alerts. It's more of a lifestyle trader that I am now compared to back then. So I don't really need it as much as then. But if you're going to be sort of in that state and you're managing a lot of money, you know, and for those that are sort of on funded accounts, like, and you're managing sort of a decent 6 figures and upward, like 6 figures at least, you should get in that state. Like, especially if you're day trading, you've got to try and get in that state so that you're really, really focused on, and your environment, your room, your trading room, everything makes a big difference. So I think it's more about the feeling, I think, rather than a superstition.
Cool. So let us know if you've got any superstitions. Slavomir says you've got a cat, but not a black cat. So maybe that's where the line's drawn at superstition. And Tony's saying he feels great today because he got a haircut after 2 months. I feel you on that one. Gave myself a nice fresh little fade at the weekend. Yeah, it's weird how you feel good after a haircut. It's funny. So yeah, any other superstitions or anything, just let us know in the comment section. Okay, so that's all been sorted. So then with regards to actual action, what's kind of the first things that you would do? So you've made yourself look good. You've done your reports. You've done 2 reports, one for you to kind of just clear your mind out and one to send to the powers that be. So then what would you do then? You get to your office, you get to the desk. What would be kind of, how would you start your Monday morning for trading?
Yeah, so typically I'd be in the office about 6 o'clock. And yeah, I mean, we had a gym within our building. So what I'd normally do though is the first thing before I even got to the office, I'd meditate, so to get my mind right. And I'd normally do like a 10 to 20 minute exercise routine at home, just to get my body moving, to get my mind focused. And I did like to sort of have my laptop on, and actually I used to go through my trades as I was on the train, just scroll through, remind myself of what I did and then what my P&L was, and then start thinking about what my goal was for the week, what I wanted to hit, what targets I wanted to hit, what state I needed to be in, just reminding myself. I'd have like a little sort of document that was essentially like my power document. So, you know, I mean, just things like, you know, just statements, that sort of powerful statements like I am, and then fill in the gap. So I am disciplined. I am, you know, all the things that mattered for my role. I can handle setbacks. I'm a leader, and I just kind of recite them in my head, just kind of get into my state that I needed to be in. So revise my trades, go through it, remind me of what I've done, set my goals for the week, and then try and get into state by reading my power statement. And because it was such a serious, like, it was one of my, you know, it was one of the last positions I had, but like there was a lot of pressure on me to deliver. And so I had to get myself in that state every single time. So whatever was thrown at me, I could handle it. Like whatever setback was there, I could handle it. So, and then once I kind of got in, I'd kind of start looking through the markets. I already had a good idea of the currencies that I was interested in. I'd go to those first. I'd look to see where we are with stuff, make some notes, and see if there's any trades that I could take there and there. And then kind of just plan, you know, not be too much of in a rush on a Monday to take a trade. And then sort of like once I've done that work and there's not much there, then I'd go to the gym sort of mid-morning. So about 9:30, typically I'd be going downstairs, going to the gym, getting some exercise in. So Monday would be kind of like a warm-up day, but if there was something interesting, I'd take the trade. It was like that. So there was no big deal if we didn't take a trade on a Monday. Typically, most of our trades were happening Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Those were the big days, because if you're getting into trade on Friday, the problem is then you've got to hold them over the weekend unless they're going to be a day trade, or there's just not enough time for it to get to its target. So you're taking on the risk without, you know, being able to actually fulfill on the target. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday were our preferred days, because typically we'd close up for the weekend, so we'd be flat. So
interesting. So yeah. Then what would you do on Fridays then?
No, I mean, we'd still trade or manage trades that were open. So if we had anything open, which we could if we wanted to, we could keep them overnight. Typically, I didn't want to keep too much overnight, or I'd manage it with my stop, because, you know, again, it's just managing your psychology. But we would still do day trades. It's just typically Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. If you get in something on Tuesday, you've got the whole week to catch the move. Wednesdays and Thursdays and Fridays typically are two of the 3 days. 2 of the 3 days of Wednesday, Thursday, Friday are typically high volatility days. So if you got Wednesday, Thursday, high volatility, Friday is going to be probably a dud day. So you're looking at sort of scalping a little bit of range trading, a few day trades. But if your Wednesday was quiet and Thursday was big. Friday will probably be big as well. So you try and catch a decent move on Friday and then close up. That would be the sort of typical week. That's kind of it really. And obviously check your economic calendar at the start of the week, see what big events are coming out. And we'd have the scorecon as well, so we'd always sort of hear if anything was sort of happening anyway, reminders. But it's always good to see and be prepared for what's coming out for the week. So
awesome. So look, we it's our first show on a Monday, so obviously people are coming in. Sab's just joined us, Frosty's just joined us as well. If you're watching this on the rerun and you're like, what, it's not on Thursdays anymore? No, we've moved it to Monday lunchtimes. We've put a couple of notes in the group. Obviously, next week you can catch us live again if you can. Otherwise, you can watch the rerun. But thank you to everybody who's watching us live. We've just been breaking down what Andy used to do in the hedge fund days with his trading kind of routine, and that actually starts from the Saturday through onto the Sunday with lifestyle management. So, what's the big things that you've noticed now as a lifestyle trader with regards to the start of the week? Because obviously that's what more of us here can kind of relate to.
I think when you're new, you should be doing that anyway, wherever you are. And like from a personal point of view, like I'm not, I guess in my mind, I'm not as, I don't want to use the word committed, but like, I don't have the same feelings about having to be in that state all the time. I can typically just find a setup, place the order, and be just okay. So there's less, and I don't know why that is, but like, I think maybe it's more experience now as well, less pressure on me. Like financially, I don't need that trade to work out to pay my bills. That helps. I'm not going to lie that it doesn't. So that's a big thing is like when you're trading. I mean, it's the old adage. I know we say don't risk money that you can't afford to lose, but I know people do because, and typically, you know, if you're risking money that you can afford, you can be more relaxed. There's not that pressure. Like, whereas I guess like when you're in that sort of position where you have to deliver results, all these other things are super important. But now I'm kind of like, you know, I'll wake up. Sometimes I can't have the routine that as streamlined as I used to have it because I've got kids and I work at home now as well, which, so, you know, I'm typically up 5-6 in the morning normally. But, you know, it's there's other challenges. So you have to be a bit flexible and you have to accept that sometimes you're not going to be able to, you know, get on the market straight away. But with the way I trade, you know, aside from like maybe the last 5-6 weeks where I've done more day trading, typically now I'm just managing my trades. Like we do on Trade of the Week, I'll go through 3 or 4 trades. I find them. I will set some alerts, put some orders on. Sometimes, and actually, some of the stuff that I'm doing now makes it that it's even less less need for me to be on the markets all the time, where I will actually just scale into trades. So, like that Swiss yen that we spoke about, that kind of trade, you know, you could just scale in and not worry about it, put a bigger stop, and then just leave it alone. The only thing you need to think about is, you know, your swap rate, making sure that you're not paying a lot of overnight interest. But other than that, if the interest is low and you just hold it for a bit longer. So in FX, I'm doing more of that now. And even in some extent in crypto as well, I'm doing more of that. Less day trading, much more just managing trades and managing. So it's, I guess in the moment, you've got much more time to think when you're trading of higher time frames. But I still can day trade now very easily without having to sort of build my state up. And I can't really tell you exactly why I can do it now versus then, but I would say the biggest thing is probably the pressure's off. And so I can just deliver without having that sort of, you have to deliver on top of your head.
That's very cool. Thank you for sharing that insight. So we've had a couple of requests to go over the trade that we did last week. So the Swiss yen. So if you want to get that up, Andy's kind of given a bit of a blueprint or part of his blueprint away there. So, I mean, it's just the basics of get into a good state, live healthy, get your mind right. But looking on when the pairs, so he's identified a few weeks ago, we spoke about his favorite currency pairs and the different ways in which they move. And now we've got a bit more to the puzzle, which is mainly the major moves are going to be Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, but obviously you're not ruling out setups if they present themselves on either Monday or Friday. If you want to know more about Andy's background and how he's got to this point where he's just kind of working an hour a day or less, we do have a webinar for you if you're totally brand new. If you're already a student, then there's no real point you going on the webinar, to be honest. But if you're totally brand new and you're like, oh, I wouldn't mind learning a bit more information, we've gone into so much detail. So we'll put the link in the description either during or after the show. And now Andy's ready to continue his analysis that he started last week. So we're looking at the Swiss yen, I believe. Is that correct?
Yeah. So I'm not going to go break it down fully like we did last week, but essentially what we were looking at here. Are we doing another setup, by the way, just so that I know how much time to spend on this? Yeah,
if you let's do another one. Let's Let's start the week in style for everyone. So if you can just review, tie off last week and just review where we were and how this has panned out and what you'd be looking at for this week. And then we can pick another one on the fly. We've got time.
Okay. So let me just show you. Let me get this pen up. So what we spoke about was the fact that, this currency pair since 2016 has really kind of held on top of at this upper boundary here. And, and we were kind of here when we were speaking about it. Now, typically speaking, the high probability trade is, trade what's been working until proven otherwise. So, this resistance has been holding. So therefore, the high probability trade is to short this here. And then we went and broke it down. Now, just as a sort of little update, you can have a look here. You can see that you could argue that this currency pair has broken this weekly level and we're acting here as support. You can definitely make the argument for that. But I still, at this stage, wouldn't really class that as a breakout. I know that if something has held for 5 years, it's not necessarily going to break that easily, but also I'm not convinced that's a breakout. So yes, it's closed above it, but I would need to see a second bar close above it to really start to think about this going much higher. So another week above it, so a nice strong green bar, then you might start to think about, okay, maybe this is going to go higher. But right now, I'd be looking at this still as a short sell and a fake out, which is what you get a lot of in FX. And then we spoke about, potentially where this could stop. So I marked it down with 3 blue lines. And I spoke about, if you wanted to, you could scale in position 1, 2, 3 there. So right now you'd be kind of around scratch on your first entry. So that's around where we spoke about. Now, this is quite cool because, this has actually gone and hit the this D point, which is actually one of the reasons why we identified the current line as a short. And you can see here that for me is a D hit. And what I quite like about this, guys, it looks like a fake out. So look, can you see, like, you had 1, 2, 3, 4 touches, right? That have worked, and even that was quite close. And then this market breaks out, basically completes that sort of sub Fibonacci D, and then comes back and now is acting as resistance here. So for me, I definitely think that's like, at least for like a third of your position or half your position, that's worth a short there where we are right now. And then, you know, if this market wants to sort of go a little bit higher, that's possible. But I think where we are right now is strong enough. And then you could kind of potentially, let me see where those levels are. 47. Now, this again depends on people's kind of risk appetite. But, you know, you could, if you wanted to, you could put your stop there, or you could just kind of go, like, if you want to look at this as a long-term trade and you do want to scale in, you could possibly just put it up a little bit higher, so that you are basically above all of this. Remember, this is a spike zone as well, and this is a daily chart. So if you want to be safe, you potentially might even want to go slightly higher. Now, if you give it enough room, typically, if it is going to be a fake out, you don't know how it's going to happen, if it's going to be here or if it's going to push a bit higher and then come back in. But you just got to have faith that it's going to come back in, and you just don't want to be stopped out. So in summary, like, this is a good place to short for at least one position, and then you could look slightly higher if you want to add to your position, and then you should have like a final stop out.
Cool. So that's given us clarity over that. Wouldn't it be great to have this guy available every day talking about these trades and giving us market reviews? That would be pretty awesome. But we've got you for about another, what's the time? I can see we've got you for about another 18 minutes, Boo Boo. So let's jump to another currency pair. So as usual, if you want to see a currency pair, oh, we've already got cable, a request for cable from the lady in the loo.
Yeah.
AKA Joanna. If there's any other shouts for a currency pair, pop them in the comment section now, and we will go with the one with the most votes. So we'll give you like 30 seconds to just cast your votes if you want to see, or if you're just happy to go along with the flow. Then at the moment it will be cable.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to do cable if everybody's happy with that.
Looks like they are.
Okie dokie. I'll just load it up.
Cheeky little request coming for sterling yen, but we'll go with cable as it's loading up now.
Okay. Okie dokie. All right. So let's quickly break this one down. I'll start with the weekly, and we'll do this.
I don't know if it's just me or whether if you're watching at home or on the rerun, it just seems so much better to have this broken down now on a Monday lunchtime that possibly could actually be taken action on today, or rather than a Thursday night, and then you've got the quiet day of a Friday waiting for the weekend, and then it opens up somewhere different. Whereas this is pretty cool. So hopefully you're enjoying the shift of times like I am for sure.
Okay. All right. No worries. Okie dokie. 1 second. Let me just get rid of those. Okay, so we're kind of so one thing that I can see here is we are obviously ranging, like overall, which is why I put those lines. I mean, we've kind of stayed in this range for a little while, and then we're sort of channeling up at the moment and potentially looking for it to go back towards the bottom of this channel. So, and then we'll kind of have, let me just put those back in actually. Let me just see where what's going on? Why is it not tracking? Yeah. Okay. So there is some room for more upside on cable, I've got to say. Even like it just, if you kind of see, I mean, I know this is a recent high, but this is like, you know, a good sort of old support here, resistance. So I think there is room to the upside towards these highs up here. But in the short term, I'd be kind of looking at this to sort of go back down towards this channel. The one thing that I'm going to say here straight away that I can see is that you can definitely take the short side if you have a good setup. However, what I will say is that this kind of move at the moment, you've had that move up, and then that looks like a little bit of a flag formation. So it's not really retracing, it's consolidating, which is quite bullish, if I'm being honest. So that's kind of really all the information that I need from this chart right now. We can also I'll just stick in the up fibs just to see if we get anything useful there. Okay, so it's A, B, C, D, A, B, C. I mean, that is super close to a D. That's where it gets a little bit tricky sometimes. Right, here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to see what this would give me. So that's a 38.2 pullback, and then okay, 144. All right, 152. Okay, not much for now. So I'm not going to really get much more information from this. I'm going to move over to the daily chart, but I need to try and understand it, so that's why I spend a little bit of time on it before I start looking at the daily, so I already have a good clear picture. So straight away, this is quite interesting. So let's do the same, maybe PM. That's not going to do anything for us. Just going to look for some hidden support, if there is any. I don't know if this here. We need at least sort of 3 touches. Yeah. Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, that's pretty nice. I would say right now the long side seems safer. Kind of got that sort of market angle there. And we can do the down fibs here as well, guys, and just see where the fib completes as well. See if we can pick it up cheap. So you've got Yeah, so that's pretty nice there. That looks like a really nice area to buy it if we can get down there. That looks like a really nice area. So, and then you complete the 38 pullback. So between 135.26, 134.76. That looks like a buy right there. So obviously, if this doesn't pull back, then if this just breaks this line up here, then you don't buy it. Yeah, I mean, you can play momentum breakout here, but then it's a bit trickier because where you're going to target. So I would say, yeah, I mean, we had that. Yeah, so we kind of want this to pull back, basically. If it doesn't, then this could be an extended breakout. But ideally, what I'd want to look for is that and that right to the top of the channel. And you can see there that matches up perfectly right there. Yeah, I think we've got the picture now. Hold on. It's clicked. So 146.07, right? So buy between 135.26, 134.76 and target 146.07. If you go to your weekly chart, if I'm not mistaken, I believe that was the sort of top end of the weekly that we found. Yeah, not far off, 146.20. So 146.20 was like the top. So essentially you're buying somewhere here to target up there, 146.20. And the daily is saying 146.07. It's perfect. Absolutely perfect. So that to me, this looks like a really, really solid setup. You can buy it in this little zone here and target up there. And then in terms of stops, guys, I mean, this is like down to your own preference. You know, if you want to go tight with your stop, you could, if you want to just do it with limit orders, you could just put it behind this kind of 200 there, or just slightly. You could go just, if you want, you could do this, right? I'll give you some options. Go behind the 61.8 to begin with. Put your limit order in. If you catch the move, you can move your stop up. I would personally do double risk on this one. So I would probably do 2% instead of 1%. It's a longer term trade. It's going to take longer to get to its target. And also I know that there's a very high chance that I'm not going to let it get down to all the way down here, because if we got a really strong breakout, I'd probably be out anyway. So if we close below this level, I'd probably be just closing that trade out anyway. So I'd definitely do double risk. I'd start with a stop somewhere there. Initial is 2 to 1, but as soon as you get that bounce and you break through this line, you pretty much eliminate your risk. You could just go pretty tight and just take the risk away. And now you've got your capital back. That's earning you money. It's going towards its target, but you have the capital to go and put it somewhere else. And that's important. Just getting your capital back to go put it somewhere else. Because when you're taking trades that are going to take a couple of weeks, that you don't want that money tied up too long. But you need to do it strategically, because if you do it too quick and you just tighten up your stop, I've seen people do it where they just go, oh, let me put my stop to break even as soon as the market moves. And then they're stopped out and then the market goes without them. Yeah, that's kind of it. I mean, let me know if that makes sense, guys. That looks like a nice swing trade.
You are a true artiste, my friend. One question we have had from the tribe is from Roy. Thanks a lot for tuning in on the new time, Roy. Why is it called cable?
It used to be how the it used to run through a cable. Basically, that's how the prices were fed. That's where it started. So many years ago. That's all I know about it, to be honest with you. But if you look it up, that's what it will say online. We used to get the feed through a cable, and it was called cable. But yeah, I don't know all the history of all of them, but there are some strange names. I've got to say, like the loony, because of a bird.
What's the strangest one for you? Just quickly, while you brought that up.
What's that?
What's the strangest one to you?
I don't know. The loony, probably. It's a bird, isn't it? I believe.
What is that on your screen?
Ah, that's my emails. I'm trying to change the screen.
I can see us, but in like a prism effect.
Ah, hold on. Stop screen. There we go. I'm back.
We are back.
I moved over there, so I thought, let's move it back. Yeah.
Well, look, that's the first one in the can at the new time. We'll be going from midday Mondays, and then we've got midday tomorrow. The C word will be coming in. And yes, midday tomorrow, we'll be talking all things cryptos. So if you want to catch us again, maybe you're interested in cryptos, same time, same place in the Facebook group. We will be back tomorrow, guys. So have a great afternoon wherever you are. I'm going to leave you with this. Ciao, 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 ciao.